I was honored to spend some time with Dr. Naji Hayek. He is a trained surgeon in the United States. He's also the second in command, the Vice President for International Affairs of the Free Patriotic Movement, which is the largest Christian party in Lebanon. And thank you for joining me, Doc. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for hosting me. God bless you.
Yes, I'm at the convent and you're downtown Beirut. Could you, I've done a lot of reporting on the history of the Christian movement and what's happened here, but maybe you could give an overview of where the movement stands, the risks and the possibilities going forward.
I am going to give you a little briefing about the history of the Christians in Lebanon and a bit in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. As you probably know, and that this is something also that many people don't know, we are not converted to Christianism. We are the first Christians because Jesus was here. So mm-hmm. Jesus was here next to us in Israel, and the first miracle was done in the south of Lebanon. So the Christian community of Lebanon is one of the first Christian communities ever because of the proximity. The Christian community in Syria also is an old, very old Christian community, and it goes back to the year 30 or 40. Mm-hmm. The first place where the Christians were named Christians or followers of Jesus was in actual Turkey, and in the south of Turkey, in Antioch. Mm-hmm. This area was part of Syria, so the whole area was Christians up until the advent of Islam, and mm-hmm. When the Islamic Caliphate started conquering this area, the people started converting from Christianity to Islam. Christianity was able to convert many of the pagans in the whole area to Christianity, and many of them stayed pagan, very few actually. But then Islam came and they started converting by the means that mm-hmm. They used. And this is what it is. So the actual country of Lebanon had been mostly Christian in the 100 years ago with the foundation of the Greater Lebanon. The Greater Lebanon and the smaller Lebanon that was there before the Greater Lebanon was mostly 80% Christians. But for the past 100 years, we were subject to many military activities and other also activities that made our numbers less. So wars plus mm-hmm. The amount of the numbers of Christians started going down because the Christian family is usually smaller than a non-Christian family, especially right. in the 40 or 50 years. So I have 2 kids. Islamic families have 7 or 8 kids or 4 or 5 kids. So numbers are at least double. So look at this over many generations. That mm-hmm. makes the number go down. And this is the rule of life. I mean, this is not an accusation. This is the reality of what's happening. And also, mainly in 1975, we had a big war that was launched against the Christian presence in Lebanon because the Christians were holding most of the powers, and according to the Lebanese constitution, if you want to call it this way, the Lebanese president has to be Christian, and it has to be Maronite. Actually, it's a Catholic sect of Christianity. Mm-hmm. So there was a war that was launched by the Palestinians to take over Lebanon. The Christians defended themselves, and the army that was largely Christian, and the Christian parties had to arm. So we formed Christian militias that fought the Palestinians and fought then after that the Syrians. And there was also a big agglomeration of ISIS, kind of an ISIS of the 70s that were revolving around the Palestinian Fatah movement and led by Arafat. So they came here to battle the infidel. We were able to hold our grounds quite steadily, many of them left. Many of us left, obviously, because the Christians. Many of us have families in the U.S., have families in Europe, so it's easy for them to go, and they blend much easier. So they left and never came back. Many of us died in battle, and I lost many of my childhood friends in battle, and the rest of us is here right now. So the problem that we are facing, and I have to say it this way, is that the Western governments and even the Western communities have lost much of their Christian values. And because of that, the Christians of the Middle East have been left to their fate, and they have been left to kind of die slowly and alone here. You have to remember that in 1990, in the middle of the war that we were having against the Syrian occupation of Lebanon, the American government sponsored the invasion of the Christian area by Hafiz Assad, the father of actual Bashar al-Assad, and they let him rule Lebanon, and they let him crush all the Christian presence in Lebanon by military force, and unfortunately, with the blessing of the United States and Europe. So
that was done during the first Gulf War. Am I correct? It was kind of like a quid pro quo. You join us in the war, we'll let you destroy Christianity in Lebanon. Is that
absolutely? And this is what happened. Hafiz Assad joined the war against Iraq, against Saddam Hussein. Who needed Hafiz Assad to win the war against Saddam Hussein? The U.S. did it alone without getting any help from anybody. But they wanted his assistance, despite what he had done, despite him blowing up the Marines headquarters in Lebanon. So they let him crush us. And between 1990 and 2005, our powers in Lebanon started fading away because Syria was occupying Lebanon and was stripping the Christians out of their powers. And with the whole world observing this, this is when I had to leave and go to the US to finish my medical and surgical training. I remember when I had to come back to Lebanon, we were not allowed to write Beirut on the plane ticket. It had to say Damascus. Imagine this. I used to scratch it and write Beirut on it. And at that time, it was a paper, the tickets were paper tickets. So I used to get into arguments with the agents on the airports at JFK or at Newark, because they were angry because I was tampering the ticket. I said, I'm flying to Beirut, and the ticket, the flight number is going to Beirut. Why are you writing Damascus? Especially that I was one of these soldiers, army soldiers and militiamen that battled the Syrians and the Palestinians occupying Lebanon. So this is what happened. And it was not without a hard fight and battle inside the U.S. Congress that we were able to pass a law with the help of the Lebanese Christian community in the U.S. We had a law that was passed called the Syria Accountability and Lebanese Sovereignty Restoration Act that was passed in the U.S. government, in the U.S. Congress, that obliged the Syrians to get out of Lebanon. This law was mainly orchestrated by the former president, General Michel Aoun, and with the assistance of the Lebanese inside the United States. One of them was my uncle, the late Dr. Eli Sadie of Youngstown, Ohio, who was born in the U.S. and who helped us do that. And he's the one that testified in the U.S. Congress for that. And this is how the Syrians withdrew from Lebanon. It went through the Lebanese lobby. And now what's happening right now is with the fall of Assad, we have to admit, despite the brutality of the regime, this regime was quite lenient toward the Christians of Syria. And but now the actual regime in Syria is like pushing the Christians to leave the Syria. Now,
so just let me state, Assad was, you say, lenient to the Christians. You could have your own lifestyle. You could go to church. You could build businesses under Assad, correct?
Absolutely. You were not allowed to get involved in politics, but at the same time, there was freedom of there was freedom of religion, and I'm in no way trying to say that Assad was a great person. I was one of the people that battled him and fought him all my childhood and my young adult life. But this is the reality of things. So now the new regime in Syria is dangerous. I hope they'll be able to minimize their effect on the region. But in Lebanon, we still have a good Christian presence. The president and the commander-in-chief of the army and the head of the central bank, which is like the Federal Reserve in the U.S., they're still Christians, but they're stripped of some of their powers. And we're having this problem of the Hezbollah being armed and weaponized. So now, with the war in the south of Lebanon, Hezbollah has been quite severely damaged, and we're trying to get rid of the arms of the Hezbollah. In the old days, before this war, our party had to deal with Hezbollah, and because we belong to the same country, and we were, as Christians, quite weak enough not to be able to fight or argue with what they're doing, and with them having weapons and being affiliated with Iran. But this has changed right now. But
so let me ask you, how did the Shia presence come into Lebanon?
The Shia presence came into Lebanon in around the year 700, right after the fall of the Shiite Khalifa in Iraq. So they came, many of them came to Lebanon, and they started living in the south of Lebanon. And they even came to the actual Christian areas of Lebanon. But the Christians were obviously before that, because the Christians in Lebanon have been here since the year 300. And many before that, again, because when the Christianity started growing, it started in Lebanon, in Syria, and in southern Turkey. And this is a reality. So we've been here much longer than that. Our church, the Maronite Church, which is a part of the Catholic Church, is the biggest Christian sect in Lebanon. And this Maronite sect is mainly based in Lebanon. It was started by a monk that lived in Aleppo in northern Syria in the year 400. But then the Patriarchate, which is like the papacy of the Christians, our church formed in Mount Lebanon here in the area between Byblos, Jbeil, actual Jbeil, and Batroun. This is where I am right now. It was formed in the year 680. So right by the time that the Shia and the Sunnis were fighting in Iraq. But they started coming as refugees here in the beginning, and the Shiite community started growing up. So it's the Shia have been here for a very long time, and the Sunnis started also growing in influence after the Abbasides before the Abbasides, the Umayyads in the year 700 and 800 and 800, 900, 1000. They started coming. The Abbasides came and they started attacking the shores of Lebanon and the mountains of Lebanon. In the year 700, the Maronites were fighting against the Umayyads that were led by Muawiyah. There was the Umayyad Khalifa who formed the Umayyad dynasty, or what do you call it, Caliphate. So, and then sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. We had some good periods here in the year 1100, 1200, 1300 because the Crusaders were here. But after they left, we got slaughtered. Same thing happened to us in 1983, 84.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
The Marines came to Lebanon they left 1 year or 2 years later after the bombing of the Marines headquarters. So the people that orchestrated this bombing were the Palestinians, the Syrians, and the Iranians. So when the U.S. government decided to pull out the Marines, and we were left alone. So we were attacked by all fronts because they accuse us of being allied with the Americans or being pro-Americans. And this is a reality because most of the Lebanese people here are very pro-Americans, and we have 1.5 million Lebanese Americans in the U.S. At least 3/4 of them are Christians, and I have a big part of my family and of my village. Actually, my village is maybe 2,000 people with like maybe 300 homes, and we have the same number in Youngstown, Ohio. Imagine. So these people that are in Youngstown, Ohio, were born and raised in the U.S. They'll be Lebanese just like you'd be Scottish. So so this is what it is. This is why we are pro-American. Obviously, this is a reality. I myself am very pro-American. I was trained and lived in the U.S. and I owe America my medical training. I owe America my education, and America is my second country. And there
So
there comes before America in the whole world.
So the bombing of the Marine barracks was targeted to try to remove American troops, really removing protection for you. Is that correct?
Exactly. And they succeeded because the Americans, instead of fighting back, decided to withdraw. And this was a big mistake. And imagine in 1990, after that, they sold us to these same people that bombed the Marines and they killed these Marines. And in 1998, we dedicated one of our cedar forests that was dedicated to the memory of the Christian soldiers fell during the war. We dedicated this forest to the memory of the Marines and to the French paratroopers that were killed by a coward act on October 23rd, 1983. And for that, one of the parents of the Marines that they were killed here that came, her name is Judith Young, with her husband. She came here in 1998, and she is the one that laid the stone for the memory of the Marines. And I think I was there. I think you remember this. You went to this cedar forest, and
yes, I do. That article is on our military site. I mean, it's just so people can bring that up and see that.
Absolutely.
On our
and after that, in 2003, the lady Judith Young, she had organized a big candle lighting in Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and I officially went to Camp Lejeune, sent by then exiled general who became president after that, Michel Aoun. He went to. I went officially. I represented him in Camp Lejeune at the barracks, and I spent the night praying with the families of the fallen heroes. For the 40th anniversary, Judith Young had become the president of the Gold Star Mothers of America. The Gold Star Mothers, for the people that are not familiar with it, are the mothers of the fallen military of the U.S. Of the United States of America. So for maybe 10 years, she was the president of this association that is quite a prestigious organization. She came in October of 2023, and she came, and I organized her trip. She came with one of the Marines that they were here also with her. She came, and we organized a trip to the mountain where I sent you the photos, to the mountain,
yes.
And she saw the stone and the flowers that she had given us in 1998. So we were supposed to have a big rally for that and a big thing, but because of the events that happened in Gaza, right? I mean, a couple of weeks before the 23rd of October, we're not able to do that. But the people that are hearing me here and the US people should know that since I came back and started organizing this since 1999, I was personally and my political party were organizing prayers and masses every year for the fallen Marines, every year. And I sent you old photos.
Yes, I saw those. Yeah.
Even during the Syrian occupation, we used to do that. Every year there is a mass for the memory of the fallen Marines in Lebanon. We did all this. So we deserve that the US government has a good eye on us and trying to help us and trying to make sure that we don't get flushed out of our homeland and out of the first Christian homeland in the whole world, and the only country in the Middle East where the Christians still have powers, and the only country in the Middle East where the president is Christian. So this is extremely important. And in this year in February, I was at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, and President Trump addressed me personally in the crowd when he was talking about helping the Christians and having an office in the White House to combat anti-Christian movements. And he told me, "You seem very happy," and I told him I'm very happy, and I count on him to restore peace to the Middle East and to help the Christians of Lebanon. And
so
he told me that he was going to do that, and I count on him for that.
What you have?
I sent you the video.
Yeah, I would love to see it. So, well, I did see it, but I'd love to have it and play it on after this show. There's more threats from Syria now. Possibly, you have 2 million Syrian refugees in country, and you have possible threats from the Sunni jihadi government in Syria. Has there been a response from the Trump administration, like, we understand what's going on, or because you have Trump and then you have the State Department? They're two different things. So,
Absolutely.
you know, sometimes the lower level employees don't really think like President Trump. Are you seeing any results from the Trump administration?
We haven't seen much of that, but we're giving it time because they're still going back and forth concerning the weapons of the Hezbollah. And I think this is crucial, being able to put guns and weapons solely in the hand of the official, of the Lebanese army is very important. And I think President Trump is assisting on this matter. Now, when it comes to the danger coming from the north and from the east with the jihadi government in Syria, we hear some threats, but I'm not sure they are quite credible at this point. But nobody knows, because Bashar, the actual president of Syria, does not really control all the territory, and we've seen what they did to the Alawis in western Syria, and we've seen what they tried to do to the Druze in Suwaida in Syria. So who knows? They might think of attacking either the Shia or the Christian community here. So this is where a U.S. intervention comes handy. But we're trying. We talk to the people in the U.S. I personally go talk to the State Department, and as you said, the problem that we've been facing for all these years is there are sometimes you have a 30 years old government employee that decides that the Christians in Lebanon are a negligible entity and should not be dealt with as an important faction of Lebanon, and this is what you get. And we get people get killed, get slaughtered, and our presence starts getting diminished. So, I wish we could do something more. And I thank you very much for giving me the chance of exposing these facts and of telling the U.S., the American people, that we are their allies and we are their friends and we share common values. Not only Christian values, but even the non-Christian population in Lebanon is quite friendly to the American people and to the values of the that the Americans, that America represents.
Right. I was going to ask you something, but I forgot. What else do you want to get out to the
problem?
public,
The problem that we face is that the political games sometimes can get our people killed in Lebanon, and I beg the American people, and I hereby push and ask the priests and in churches to do everything they can to push their representative and the government to give special assistance to the Christians of Lebanon and to Lebanon, because Lebanon is a democracy in the Middle East, and it was always the Switzerland of the Middle East, the Miami of the Middle East. Even now, if you come, I mean, you're here in Lebanon, go to the beaches, check the nightlife.
Oh, yeah. It's very nice.
We live a very open life. Lebanon is not Kandahar. Christians and Muslims in Lebanon live the same way that the people would live in Washington or in Miami or anywhere else. So
I know what I was going to ask you.
We can be a major representative of the free world in this Middle East. This is one, and because we as Christians, because we know the West, we know the East, we can be the mediators between the Western values and the Middle Eastern values, and between the Christian values and between the Islamic values, that can find a good territory where they can really live peacefully and with love, like Lord Jesus Christ taught us.
Amen. So I know what I was going to ask you. There was a lot of Christians killed in southern Syria, correct? After Golani took power?
Yes, there were many Christians killed, but we don't have much info because the government there tries to limit what leaks out. But obviously with internet, a lot leaks out. But the people that have been killed in Syria are mostly Alawis and Druze, and less Christians. But Christians, Syria had 2 or 3 million Christians, and many of them left because the people like in Australia and the Australian government, the Canadian government, they like to get Syrian Christians. So they give them the opportunity to travel, and they travel. Many of them are in Lebanon. We welcome them here. We welcome them here because they feel they're safer in Lebanon.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the Christians in Lebanon still have powers, and big part of the army is Christian. And the chief of staff of the army is Christian. And not only Christians, but even Shia and Sunnis here, they live in a more peaceful way than everywhere else in the world. I mean, the communities here are not the way many of the people think they are. I'm talking about the Shia and the Sunnis.
Yes, I understand. Well, thank you for your time. I would love to have you back down the road as things develop and we have more things happening in Lebanon.
Thank you very much.
I think there's going to be more developments, but I appreciate your time coming on today, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.